Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver and my mission is to bring you closer and make you excited about organic Japanese green tea. And today what we're going to dive into is into Gyokuro. Gyokuro is actually the most precious leaf tea in Japan, and it has become quite famous, and it is a highly appreciated tea in Japan. When we look into Gyokuro, what actually Gyokuro is that we are talking here about the longest shaded green tea. But what does actually shading mean, or how does shading look like? I just brought you here two examples of tea. One is a Gyokuro and the other one is a Bancha, which is a more mature leaf and non-shaded tea. And you can really see in the difference of the color of the leaves that we talk here with the Bancha. We talk about the brighter leaf. It's not as green, not as dark. And here with the Gyokuro, you can even see a slight shimmer of the oils and the theanine which is in the leaves, while here we talk about just a very simple green tea, how you can buy it. Normally when you buy green tea in the supermarket as well, it tends to go into the direction of the Bancha. But the Gyokuro is quite special. So Gyokuro, as I said before, it's long shaded. This just means that before the harvest, at least for 20 days, the tea is shaded and cut from the sunlight. And this triggers certain compounds to be stronger present in the Gyokuro, giving the tea a very sweet and very flavorful and very savory, the so-called umami flavor. But this I'll get to a little bit later. But let's see how this tea evolved. So the tea was originally introduced into the market by the Yamamoto tea family. The Yamamoto tea family, one of the biggest tea producers at the time, or tea sellers in the Edo period, and in the city of Edo, which is nowadays Tokyo. And they discovered this tea, and finally the tea was produced and then refined later by Gyokuro. He's the guy that actually then launched the name also of Gyokuro. He then introduced the tea into the market. The main regions of Gyokuro are mostly, we talk about Yame. This is the number one region. Then we have Uji as a third one, also Shizuoka, and nowadays also Kagoshima is coming more and more into vogue on this tea. It is said that in Yame around 40% of all the Gyokuros are produced, and it is also said that by ranking of best tea of Japan, places 1 to 26 goes also to Yame. This is of course mainly for non-organic tea, so this is the ranking just of standard Gyokuro, and then the top Gyokuros, it is said that they are coming from Yame. We are still a little bit looking around. Yame is definitely for us a goal to go there and to see how the organic green tea production is there, but this ranking, as I said before, is mainly for the standard Gyokuro. When you have Gyokuro, so Gyokuro is, as I said, produced with this shading method. And what is also special about Gyokuro is that when you harvest it, you should leave it a little bit balancing out. So what you have to do is, or the farmer has to do, is to store the tea. So when you ever buy a Gyokuro, check what is the harvest date, and it should have at least 6 months of date already being stored in a sealed container somewhere, or already just have at least 6 months of life behind it, just that the tea has the ability to ripen a little bit more. And what this actually does is that it sweetens the tea and gives the tea a little bit of a sweeter note. So what over time happens, that the catechins, they slightly break down, and this you also have sometimes with the matcha. So farmers, they store the matcha for a little bit or a longer time, and then just the bitter notes, they go down a little bit. And this also happens with the Gyokuro, giving the tea an ability to leveling out and to balancing out a little bit in terms of taste and becoming even more sweeter. And then another thing about the Gyokuro is it depends a little bit what in terms of taste what you can have. Certainly Gyokuro is produced with all different kinds of cultivars, but it is said that the best cultivars can be Goku, we talk about Okumidori, or we talk about Saimidori. Yabukita is the most spread Gyokuro tea plant in Japan, and you definitely find as well Yabukita Gyokuros. This one here is even a Yabukita Gyokuro, so we'll dive into Yabukita Gyokuro today. But what Japanese people, when they're looking or referring to the taste profile, what they're really looking for is actually a tea which is very sweet, and the most or the sweetest green tea cultivars which exist, triggering a little bit these taste profiles in terms of Gyokuro are the Goku, Okumidori, and Samidori. But today we're going to stay with the Yabukita, as this tea is also a very fine tea, depends also on the farmer, how he does it, and not only on the cultivar. So, and this then brings me to the tasting of this tea. So we're gonna take a teapot, so Japanese teapot. You can also take the hohin. There are different teapots which are used for Gyokuro. Today I will stick with the normal Kyusu. I have actually, this is a Fukamushi Kyusu which I'm testing at the moment, so you can see the strainer goes all around, but you can use just the normal green tea teapot. You don't need a one with the strainer like that. That's mainly for Fukamushi, but it works also very well for the Gyokuro. So we're gonna place 5 grams of the leaves in the teapot, and we're gonna add 2 minutes to the brewing of this tea. Good. Voila, I prepared the water at 60 degrees Celsius, so we have here 140 Fahrenheit. It's a very good temperature to do your Gyokuro, so this is also the temperature I often suggest, just due to the fact that this triggers then the most sweetness, as the theanine which is in the tea then triggers a little bit more. On the sweeter side, theanine is mainly for these umami sweet notes, but the theanine also has a very, very beautiful note or kind of side effect to it, that as it buffers a little bit the green tea caffeine, and you don't have the jitters, you don't get as much nervous than with when you're drinking, for example, a coffee or a black tea. And this is really the main advantage, I think, also of Gyokuro or in general of green tea versus black tea and coffee, that you really have a little bit this regulation, this dimming down, and a little bit relaxing effect of the green tea, thanks to the theanine, which is actually an amino acid which allows in your brain also to cross the brain-blood barrier. So you have a stimulation of the alpha waves, and this then brings you in a more relaxed state. But I will definitely dive into a little bit more into the effects of L-theanine in another video, and then see a little bit what are the teas which you might consider if you want to have a high amount of L-theanine. Today I really want to go and dive into the taste of the Gyokuro, and now we have the 2 minutes that are over, and we just do the tasting of this tea. Good. So try to get out all of the water. So a lot of sweetness, a little bit of a sweet mango, a little bit of an artichoke flavor, I have a little bit of green beans as well. And I think, yeah, it's kind of a mix of green beans and edamame which I get from the nose. Now I'm curious about the taste. So this tea is now one from 2018. It is a very sweet, there's a little bit of a creamy butter, you get a little bit of a cashew nut note as well. On the sweet side, so on the fruity side, I get much more in taste wise, I get much more of a pear kind of pear and a little bit of a green apple, kind of a nearly Granny Smith, but a sweet Granny Smith, not another kind of this bitter Granny Smith. No, quite impressive for the first brewing. So it really stays a little bit on a fresh, a little bit on the greener side. And this is also the Yabukita, which is a little bit pushing this part, this taste, or this taste note. Very, very beautiful tea in terms of kind of a balance of greenness, of sweetness, of umami. So that's why also the Yabukita is also liked by the Japanese tea consumer. It allows to have a broad spectrum, and I always get, when I'm drinking a Yabukita Gyokuro, I always get a more of a little bit of a greener edamame note. A little bit here, I feel a little bit this Granny Smith, sweet Granny Smith, a little bit of this pear note. So it smoothens out a little bit, so I get a little bit less of a strong umami note. Still very nice creaminess, a little bit of this nuttiness, but it's mainly like a nice creamy flavor, like a little bit of more density, which is quite known for Gyokuro. Kind of a little bit having nearly a thicker liquid. But very smooth, very sweet, and still a nice savory taste profile. And now I'm curious, if I'm going into the third one, how the taste will evolve. What you can do when you're doing a Gyokuro is actually, when you go in the last brewing, you can heat up the water up to 180 Fahrenheit, just to give it a little bit more of an extra push, and then you trigger a little bit more the astringent notes, but definitely the tea stays with its sweet and smooth notes, and then you just add with the high temperature water a little bit more of astringency, which gives you a little bit of a fresh kick. Very round, very sweet, savory, a little bit this pear, a little bit this green notes. They go down now in the next brewings, but still very flavorful, very beautiful in terms of taste. It becomes a little bit lighter over the brewings. Now the third brewing becomes a little bit kind of smoother, sweeter, a little bit more balanced out, not as strong in flavor, a little bit less of this strong umami flavor profile, but a nice balance kind of between sweetness and the savoriness, and a little bit kind of a fresh, slight citrusy note. So this was this. And I end this Gyokuro session for today. I hope you liked this one, and if you ever have a question, do not hesitate, ask me in the comments or anywhere below. I'll be more than happy to answer you. Thanks a lot for being with me today, and see you, and bye bye.